Good morning and welcome to a Monday. It's November 6th. Steve Hare with you for NCW Life News. And welcome to Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I'm sitting in for Dan Kuntz, who's taking some much-deserved time off. He's on assignment, as we say, here at NCW Life, but he'll be joining us again next week after some much-needed rest. So you just don't worry about a thing. Dan, I'm not going to replace you. No one can replace Dan Kuntz, absolutely. Just a great host and your convivial host for Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. He'll be joining us next week. But in the meantime, we've, I think, organized some great little shows for you this week and some interesting guests as well. Of course, this is election week, folks. The general election is tomorrow, so all the ballots have to be returned to the auditor's office, either by mail with tomorrow's postmark or dropped off at one of the many convenient collection boxes around Chelan, Douglas County. So again, cast your ballots, make sure it's signed correctly and in the mail or in the collection box by tomorrow's deadline. Of course, we have a lot of races we've been following, a lot of contested races here in Chelan, Douglas County, and we'll be sharing with you one of those races during our newscast coming up here in a few minutes. What a weekend. We had the first measurable snow on the valley floors. You can see out the window in back of me here, little speckles of white stuff all over the Wenatchee Valley. A lot of it's already melted off, but of course it's also resulted in some winter driving conditions, people getting reaccustomed to driving in the winter snow. And as such, we've had a couple of accidents to report this morning. One up on the north side of Chelan County, there at the Beebe Bridge, Highway 97. We'll be giving you the full details of coming up here in a few minutes. My guest in the second half hour, Molly Hanson with the U.S. Forest Service, and she is the coordinator and lead of the BEAR team. Now, BEAR is an acronym. It stands for the Burn Area Emergency Response. It's a team of hydrologists and other scientists, geologists who go out into the wildfire area post-fire, and they assess the severity of the burns and measures that should be taken to recover those lands and help them rehabilitate. But we'll learn more about that process coming up in the second half hour. It's the BEAR team discussion with Molly Hanson, so stay tuned for that. Also, your regular features, including Everybody's Entitled to Mike McNaughty's Opinion. That's coming up as well, along with sports. Bad day yesterday for the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks lose to the Washington Redskins, a game they really should have won, if not for 3 missed field goals and then a blown opportunity there at the end of the game. But Eric Granstrom has recapped that for us in a tidy little sports report that we'll share with you here in a few minutes as well. But first of all, as we always do here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley every morning, we go around the valley with our Sky-Fi cams to show you what it looks like here on a Monday morning, this 6th day of November. And as you can see there, we can have a little cloud layer this morning that's expected to clear away for the most part today and bring us more sunshine. But again, continuing cold temperatures with mercury hovering around that freezing mark this morning here in the Wenatchee Valley, and little clouds activity. But some snowfall over the weekend brought us some beautiful pictures as evidenced by some of the postings I've seen on Facebook. Looking down now, and I'm not sure which, this must be our jump-off ridge camera, is that right? It's Pateras. I beg your pardon. Okay, coming up, let's take a look at some of these cams. Thanks, Caitlin. Appreciate that very much. Our engineer provided me with a roster here of the cameras we're using, but you know me. You know me. Here we are. Okay, views around the valley. We started, of course, with our cross cam up on Wenatchee Heights. This is looking down on Pateras. You can see the Methow River there that's flowing into the Columbia River there. Pateras there just on the right, or on the left rather. The Billy Goat cam, we affectionately call it there, that's provided to us by Sky-Fi Wireless Internet. And we have a great view of the valley from that camera, as we do here off of Jump-Off Ridge, looking down on the Wenatchee Valley across the Wenatchee Heights and down into the valley proper with Wenatchee and East Wenatchee there, you can see in the background. And our number 4 camera this morning is Nattipock Ridge, and this is looking down on the plain area down in the Chumstick. So as you can see, a little more snow upper valley area. The trees now are flaked with snow, and it's beginning to look a lot more like winter here in the Wenatchee Valley. And of course, we are looking at another dose of possible snowfall later in the work week here in the Wenatchee Valley. But again, thanks to Sky5 for providing us with these bird's eye views of the Wenatchee Valley and Chelan and Douglas County. A beautiful place that we live here, of course, in the apple capital of the world. Looking now at our forecast for the Wenatchee Valley for today, again, clouds expected to partially break at least and bring us some sunshine later this afternoon. But again, frigid temperatures right now. We're expecting a low of 20 degrees today, so sub-freezing temperatures. And that's going to result in some slick conditions. If we get any moisture at all in the form of either rain or fog, which is what we're expecting for later today and tonight, that could present some problems for area motorists. So again, we're readjusting to winter driving conditions, so slow down and make sure you've got enough distance between yourself and that car in front of you. I know that they will appreciate it as well. Cloudy skies for the most part in our forecast for the work week, starting today with a high of 40 expected. Tomorrow, a high of about 35 degrees with a low of 27 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Wednesday, a little bit of a change coming with clouds and a high of 39. 31 degrees our expected low with a wintry mix of snow and rain expected for Wednesday, but not much in the way of measurable precipitation. But again, you may see maybe a mantle of snow on the ground when you wake up Thursday morning. 42 degrees our expected high for Thursday, 35 low with a chance of some rain there. So the snow showers are expected to turn to rain later in the work week as we get closer to next weekend. But again, continuing cool temperatures, but not quite as cold as temperatures are starting to moderate a little bit as we get closer to the next weekend. So again, here we are in that fall trend of weather, folks, and that means clouds, possibility of some moisture throughout the week. But again, that's what we enjoy living here in north central Washington. Of course, we'll have your weather forecast coming up for you a little bit later on. Now let's take a look at the passes, because it has been kind of dicey up on the Cascades here over the past couple of days with snowfall last night. It was a mess on Snoqualmie Pass. As you can see right now, it's pretty much bare and wet, but watch out for the frosted ice in places. There are no restrictions currently on Snoqualmie Pass. Last night they had just multiple collisions, and that caused some real slow and go for especially those motorists that were returning from the Seahawks game on the west side back to Wenatchee. But again, that's not the case this morning. Mostly bare and wet conditions with frost in places on Snoqualmie Pass I-90. We'll also be telling you in our newscast about the new traffic revisions on Snoqualmie Pass that start today. East Stevens Summit we're looking at right now, where they do have a traction tire advisory posted this morning, again with packed snow on the roadway, as you can see here. So you'll want to take it slow and go over US 2 Stevens Pass this morning. Blewett Pass right now is no restrictions, mostly bare and wet, but as you can see here, it's going to be a little slippery heading over the top, especially with the colder temperatures. So watch out for ice in places on the roadway there, but otherwise, no real restrictions. That's the latest on the passes and our weather. Coming up next on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, your latest news. I'm Steve Hare, sitting in for Dan Kuntz. It's 8 minutes after the hour.
Having a relationship with your pediatrician is so important. Feeling that sense of trust, that is priceless. I tell everybody about CVCH. I love it there. When I make an appointment, I don't have to take an entire day off. As a working mom, my life is really busy. Family time is everything. That's what we all work towards. And I feel like CVCH respects that.
If you are looking for dependable car service and repair, visit the good guys at Quick Lube and Tune. They've been keeping cars and trucks in the Wenatchee Valley running smooth for 35 years. Quick Lube and Tune is your hometown shop for a 10-minute oil change, complete tune-ups, alignments, brakes, mufflers, air conditioning service, and more. Get more life out of your vehicle by bringing it to the local guys you can trust at Quick Lube and Tune on South Wenatchee Avenue.
And now it's time for your local news update with Steve Hare.
And let's get right into the news for North Central Washington here on this Monday, November 6th, Topping our stories this morning, an overturned pickup and box trailer closed the Highway 97 BB Bridge last night. State troopers say it happened around 7 in the evening when the driver, identified as 43-year-old Juan Guzman Cortez of Brewster, lost control of the pickup truck, causing it to crash into the guardrail and then overturning, blocking both lanes. As you can see here in the photo provided by State Trooper Brian Moore, part of that guardrail was actually broken away from the bridge itself, so that required the closure of the bridge. The bridge was closed for about 3 hours. There were 10 people, all from Brewster, inside that truck and trailer. Luckily, no one was hurt. Troopers say they're faulting the driver for driving too fast for the icy conditions. And again, folks, that's something you have to watch out for here in north central Washington. The streets may look bare and wet, but on those elevated roadways, such as bridges and overpasses, those things ice over. So please be careful in driving over those areas. The bridge, again, was closed for about 3 hours. It has been reopened, and again, no injuries in that crash. By the way, the Washington State DOT says your commute across I-90 Snoqualmie Pass will soon look a little different. In fact, starting today, they're switching the westbound lanes onto the second new Avalanche Bridge. The first Avalanche Bridge was completed in the summer of 2016. This new configuration will provide 3 lanes going westbound and 2 lanes going eastbound over the bridge. Now, the completion of the Avalanche Bridges is part of the larger 15-mile improvement project on I-90 between Hyack and Easton. 7-mile section between Hyack and Price Creek has been under construction since 2010. And by next fall, most of the major construction will be completed. The remaining 8 miles of the corridor between Price Creek and Easton is scheduled to begin in the summer of 2021. Also, this video is from surveillance camera provided to us by the Wenatchee Police Department. It's near Walla Walla and North Miller Streets in Wenatchee back on October 19th at roughly 4:35 in the morning. The vehicle in this video is believed to have transported the suspect in the arson that happened at the Dalco packaging plant on that date. Now, this video showed the vehicle arriving on the west side of the victim's property. And now in this second video, the suspect vehicle can be seen driving away from the crime scene. Detective Evett is seeking assistance from anyone who may have been in that area on that date, October 19th, and who may have witnessed the suspect entering or leaving the area. Again, that's what the car looked like. It looks like an SUV of some kind. He's asking that you call him at the Wenatchee Police Department. That's 888-4254 if you have information you'd like to share. Well, during the August primary, just 250 votes separated the 2 candidates running for the position 4 seat on the Wenatchee City Council. NCW Life's Grant Olson gives us a look at the incumbent and the newcomer.
As we continue our look at area political races, this morning we're focusing on the race for Wenatchee City Council Position 4 between incumbent Keith Huffaker and challenger Adam McDonald. Keith Huffaker is 56 years old and has been a city council member since 2012. He is the project manager for AWIDA Americas, is the chairman of the board for Rivercom 911, serves on the board at the Chelan Douglas Health District and Chelan Solid Waste. Huffaker says his goals as a council member are to keep local taxes low while maintaining public services, helping the homeless, finding solutions to affordable housing, maintaining streets, and improving traffic flow. Meanwhile, Adam McDonald is 33 years old and is a world and U.S. history teacher at Wenatchee High School. He has an English degree from Gonzaga and is the treasurer for the Wenatchee Education Association. McDonald is a first-time candidate for political office and says he feels that new vision and views are needed to give new life to Wenatchee. He hopes to draw new jobs to the area, improve housing, and promote community outreach. Grant Olson, NCW Life News.
Thanks a lot, Grant. By the way, we do have a reminder that the deadline is tomorrow to cast your ballots in the November general election. The mail-in ballots must be postmarked with tomorrow's date in order to be counted. Now, you can also drop off your ballot at any of the conveniently located boxes around the area. You can contact your respective auditor's office for those locations. Also, Mariachi Wenatchee, boy, another feather in their cap. Over the weekend, they appeared at the Tacoma Dome Friday, meeting and actually performed for country legend Garth Brooks. The Wenatchee School District reports in a news release Garth Brooks played 5 shows in Tacoma. Over the weekend, he heard about Ramon Rivera and Mariachi Wenatchee through the Country Music Association, said he wanted to meet Ramon and the group. So they sent them there to Tacoma Friday. Here's Ramon with Brooks and Trisha Yearwood, pictured just before the mariachi group performed for the country music stars. Rivera was honored as the CMA's Music Teacher of Excellence in April of this year. Back in Nashville, Tennessee, Ramon Rivera and the Mariachi Wenatchee group are finding out now that when you dream big, dreams really do come true. And of course, this follows their now famous trip to Washington, D.C., where Mariachi Wenatchee played before Congress. Pretty neat. Also, customers were lined up early Friday morning for the grand opening of Ulta Beauty at Valley North Mall in Wenatchee. NCW Life was there for the ribbon cutting, and here's that story. You know, I don't know why they asked me to cover the grand opening of Ulta here in the Wenatchee Valley. Obviously, it's a ladies' apparel, not apparel, but makeup and other types of ladies' things. But hey, Lynn Giroux, the manager of the new store that's opening today in Wenatchee, educate me. What is it about Ulta that makes this such an attraction that's causing all this big lineup in front of the store this morning?
Well, it's women's complete beauty. That's what Ulta's about. We're all about beautiful women. We like to showcase and make sure that our women are getting all their beauty needs.
Let's talk about the merchandise and the products that you carry.
Well, we have a great amount of different products that we carry. We have the mass side and we have our prestige side. So we have all kinds and wide ranges, so you can just come in and just kind of find everything that you need.
Well, this is really kind of unique to the Wenatchee Valley. What makes this different than, let's say, another beauty supply store?
I think it's because we have a wide realm. We have our benefit bar, so you can come in and get your eyebrows waxed. You can get your eyebrows filled in. We have a full salon. We have skincare. You can get facials. And then we have all of our pro hair, and we have all of our makeup needs.
Lynn, tell us about, well, you know, guys are always looking for things to get for their favorite lady in their life, so give me some suggestions.
We take care of everything. We take care of guys even come in and get facials too. So we have everything that a guy could get for his special love, and then we can take care of him too.
What can you do about my bushy eyebrows?
I can take care of that for you.
Can you take care of that
I can
for
do
me?
that.
Okay, great. Well, thanks a lot, Lynn. Good luck on your grand opening.
Thank you.
You betcha. Standing outside the new Ulta Beauty store here in Wenatchee, a huge lineup. People anticipating the grand opening and ribbon cutting. First of all, your name?
It's Susie Darlington.
Susie Darlington, I know you.
Hi.
Yeah, Facebook friend from Leavenworth, right?
Yes.
How you doing?
Excited to be here.
Yeah,
Great day.
Yeah, so what makes this store so special and what's causing the, really the commotion here?
So us girls, we love beauty. I love MAC makeup products. And I have to go to Seattle or Spokane. Ulta Beauty carries the makeup that I don't have to drive over the mountains for. So that's one thing, yes.
And you got a beautiful little baby here.
Thank you. This is my baby, Natalie Rose. She's 2 years old.
Yeah. You don't need any help with your beauty, little lady. Hi, how are you? And your name?
I'm Trinity, and what brought me here today is the MAC products and all the other products they carry. And I love beauty, and I love doing my makeup, and I'm really excited to be here and get to be a customer and shopping at the store, and just excited.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. Go ahead.
I'm also excited to see, I'm not too familiar with all the products, but I'm excited to browse around and see what products they have besides MAC.
1, 2, 3!
Another new retailer at the Valley North Center here in Wenatchee. By the way, customers also received various gift baskets containing samples of the store's cosmetics and accessories, including one lucky person who walked away with a $100 gift bag. So pretty neat deal, although I'm sorry, my eyebrows are past help. So anyway, what the heck is a signature? You know, what the heck? Anyway, I've lost my place here, Caitlin. We have a lot more to talk about, though, but we're going to take a short break here, first of all, including sports. And the Seahawks took one on the chin, but so did the Cougs over the weekend, too. Sports and a lot more coming up as NCW Life News continues.
I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching the NCW Life channel.
I'm Eric Grandstrom with NCW Life Sports.
I'm NCW Life News Director Steve Hare.
Catch us on Local Tel Channel 12.
You can watch us on Charter Channel 19 or stream us live on ncwlife.com.
Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook.
Where we cover the local high schools, the Wenatchee Wild, and the pro teams out of Seattle.
On Saturday, we have a 90% chance of rain.
Catch it all right here on the NCW Life channel.
Dear Merry Maids, please clean the kitchen, and the cabinets, and floors, and the chairs. And I wish you could clean the dog. Colin is now feeding himself. Thanks, Megan.
Hi, Megan. No worries. We got it all cleaned up. Let's hope Colin gets past the spaghetti flinging stage soon. Till then, we've got you covered. See you next time. Merry Maids.
On a Monday, November 6th, again, welcome back to Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I'm Steve Hare, sitting in for the vacationing Dan Kuntz. And we got a lot of sports to get to this morning, so right off the bat, let's start our look with the Friday Les Schwab Prep Football Scoreboard. Eastmont wrapped up the season on a winning note, downing Sunnyside 28-12. Quarterback Kalen Massey threw for a score in the first half and rushed for a touchdown in the second, as the Wildcats finished the season on a 5-game winning streak in Coach Michael Don's second campaign. Wenatchee had minus 12 yards rushing, falling on its last game of the season at West Valley 32-7. Darius Carlson was a lone bright spot for the Panthers with 3 receptions for 103 yards and Wenatchee's only touchdown. Kashmir had its season stopped, and longtime coach Phil Zukowski ended his career on a losing note Friday, falling at home to Freeman 35-19. Bulldogs finished the season with a 6-4 record. Congratulations for an illustrious career for Phil Zukowski. We wish him the best. Cascade also saw its season end in the first round of the playoffs Friday as the Kodiaks fell on the road at Newport 47-21. Eniat survived playing on the road and on a field covered in 5 inches of snow Friday, downing Selkirk 20-0 in the district playoffs. The Tigers advanced to the first round of the state 1B tournament with a game against Cusick at a neutral site. That's coming up Saturday at 4 p.m. Manson also advanced Friday in the 2B playoffs with a 20-12 come-from-behind win over Liberty Christian. Next up for the Trojans will be a first-round state 2B game Friday at 6 against DeSalles in Manson. Also turning our attention to the Les Schwab Prep Scoreboard from Saturday. In the Caribou Trail League Northeast A Glue crossover playoffs, Cascade beat Freeman 2-1, while Kashmir advanced with a 4-1 win over Lakeside on the road. Also, the Bulldogs in soccer travel to LaSalle for the first round state 1A playoff game tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Kodiaks will take on Kiona Benton today in a first round playoff game. The site and time have yet to be announced. Brewster downed Liberty Bell with the District 5-6 crown Saturday by a score of 2-1. The Lions still advance to state to face St. George, while the Bears will take on Cross Point in a first round game. Also, the Columbia Basin Big 9 volleyball tournament was also played Saturday at West Valley High School. West Valley knocked off Wenatchee for the district championship, earning a #1 seed to state 3-0. Then Eastmont continued their run with a 3-0 win over Eisenhower to end the cadet season. Finally, it was a rematch of last year for a last chance at state between Eastmont and Wenatchee. And just like last year, it would take 5 sets to decide it. Eastmont took the first set 25-21. Wenatchee came back to win the second 25-9. Wildcats bounced back to take the third set 25-19, but the Panthers rebounded with a 25-17 win in the fourth to set up a final winner-take-all 5th set. And just like a year ago, it would be Eastmont upsetting their Cross River rival by a score of 15-9. Congratulations to the Wildcat girls. Here you see them celebrating the program's second ever trip to the state 4A tournament. Thanks to Eric Stanaway for providing that photo for NCW Life Channel. On the Les Schwab College football scoreboard from Saturday, Luke Falk threw for 337 yards, 3 touchdowns as number 25 Washington State held on. The Cougs won. They beat number 18 Stanford 24-21 on senior day in Pullman. The win keeps the Cougs' hopes for a Pac-12 North title alive. Meanwhile, in Seattle, the number 12 Washington Huskies had no trouble downing Oregon. Final score, 38-3, as Dante Pettis became the NCAA's all-time leader in punt return touchdowns. Pettis' 64-yard punt return touchdown was the 9th of his career. And Eastern Washington could only manage 2 second-half field goals as the Eagles fell on the red carpet to Weber State 28-20. Hassani Childs rushed for 226 yards and 3 touchdowns as Central Washington crushed Simon Fraser 51-0. The number 7 Wildcats improved to 10-0 with that win. The Seahawks, that's a different story. They got the lead late in the fourth quarter but couldn't keep it, falling to the Washington Redskins at CenturyLink Field Sunday 17-14. Seattle took the lead with 1:34 remaining when Russell Wilson hit Doug Baldwin on a 30-yard pass play to put the Hawks up 14-10. But Washington's Kirk Cousins led the Skins on a 4-play, 70-yard drive to score the go-ahead TD with 59 seconds remaining. Seattle drove to the Washington 46-yard line with 4 seconds remaining, but Russell Wilson's Hail Mary pass for the end zone fell incomplete. Seattle got in its own way, really, Sunday, committing 16 penalties for 138 yards, throwing 2 interceptions, and dropping 2 would-be interceptions. Coach Pete Carroll was very displeased, especially with the penalties after the ball game.
We really played against ourselves all day long, and we've had enough penalties already in this season where you could say, one of these games is it's gonna jump up and bite you, and that's exactly what it felt like today. It's really important that we find our way and find our way back and play good football. That was a bad day for us, and I really totally feel responsible for that. I don't see anything other than that. I got to keep these guys from making penalties, and I got to get it done. And we have to get at that. We've been on the topic, and obviously we're not doing the right stuff to get that done. So this has never felt like it's such a big problem. It's always been some issue, but I'm anxious to go get this thing fixed and get us turned so that we can just go play against the other team instead of ourselves.
Meanwhile, Russell Wilson also suggested the offense would be in much better shape had they not continually shot themselves in the foot.
I think for our offense, that's the kind of our weakness right now is just the penalties, but I think that we can fix that. It's all fixable things, and we plan to fix that. We have to fix it, and we're going to, and we just have to believe that way and work that way. And if we do that, then I think that we give ourselves a really good chance, because when we're playing good football teams, when you're 3rd and 15 or 3rd and long or 1st and long, and as we saw earlier in the season when we had that, it's kind of gone away, but then now it's kind of creeped back in today. When we do that, it kind of puts us behind the 8 ball a little bit, and then it kind of stunts our growth. And so I think for us, we just have to, eliminate that. If we eliminate that, we give ourselves a really good chance. I thought that our mentality throughout the game was really, really good. We kept telling the guys, it's really only 8-0. It was 10-2. Really only 8-0. Let's keep believing. Let's keep fighting. And sure enough, we did.
Seahawks left 9 points on the field, too. Blair Walsh missing 3 first-half field goals. Carroll was quick to defend his kicker, though.
I'm disappointed for him. That he had trouble in pregame. When it was blowing, the weather was kind of nasty early on, but disappointed for him. If we had a shot, I was totally counting on him to kick the game winner. I wasn't thinking anything about that. The kicks were a big deal too in this game that was so tight. Didn't have to be, but it was. And as the weather shifted late in the game, it was fine later. But early on, it was a little bit of a factor, but shouldn't have been the factor that as significant as it wound up. We could have made this way easier for us.
Now, Seattle saw its 4-game winning streak end with a loss, and they don't have long to dwell on it as the Seahawks turn around to travel to Arizona to face the Cardinals on Thursday Night Football this week. Both coach and quarterback agree they want to get back on the field.
It's a very abbreviated week, and we have a whole format how we go through this. It'll come really quick, for us, and we're on the road, so. Yeah, I said it to them. Let's go back and play some more.
Yeah, I definitely think playing on a short week, we have a tough game. Going down on the road to Arizona and everything. It's going to be definitely a tough matchup. They're a really good football team, and it's an NFC West game. But it's a good thing. I think we can definitely we believe we'll be better and can play better. We've shown that, and so we just got to remain calm and continue to focus on the work, and let's see what we can do this week.
Now, Seattle lost a little ground in the NFC West with the loss. In fact, they lost first place. Arizona doubled up on San Francisco 20-17 as the 49ers fall to 0-9. Look at those Rams. LA puts up 51 points on the New York Giants, winning that game 51-17. So LA now, as it stands, is in first place in the NFC West at 6-2, while Seattle drops to 5-3. That's your sports report for a Monday morning. Again, good morning on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Steve Hare with you on a snowy day here in the Wenatchee Valley. Turning now to our next feature, which is, of course, our obscure holiday of the day, Dan affectionately calls it. Today is Saxophone Day. There you have it. Saxophone Day is a classical woodwind instrument, as we all know, essential instrument in jazz bands. Former President Bill Clinton made it famous. Good sax player. Saxophone was invented around 1840 and created by Adolphe Sax. Why didn't they call it an Adolphe? I don't know. Belgian musical instrument maker who was born on this date in 1814. The sax, by the way, is made of brass. Also, 1860 are dates in history now. Some significant events that occurred on this date in history. 1860 was the year, 157 years ago, Abraham Lincoln elected as the 16th president of the U.S. The 1860 election was the last of 5 consecutive elections in which the incumbent president was not a candidate in the general election. Interesting factoid there. Also, it was 148 years ago today, on this date in 1869, Rutgers College defeats Princeton University 6-4 in the first official intercollegiate football game in what might be considered a beginning to college football rivalries. Immediately after Rutgers won this game, Princeton's players were literally run out of town by the winning Rutgers students. The Princeton students reportedly jumped in their carriages and quickly made the 20-mile trip back to their campus. So there it is. Also, it was on this date in 1947, 70 years ago, Meet the Press made its television debut. I had a chance to watch that yesterday, as a matter of fact. Meanwhile, our birthdays for today, and again, if you're celebrating a birthday, happy birthday to you today. But we do have some famous people who are also sharing your birthday. 1861, he was born on this date. He died in 1939 at the age of 78. His name is James Naismith. Some of you may know him as a Canadian-American physician and educator, but did you know also that he invented basketball? He invented the game of basketball in 1891 while teaching at the YMCA in Springfield, Massachusetts. A document listing the 13 rules of basketball written by Naismith sold at auction recently for $4.3 million, the most ever paid for a sports memorabilia item. Now, when he first invented basketball, do you know what they used for a basket? A peach basket. That's right. They just cut the bottom out of it, and that served as your basket. Anyway, James Naismith celebrates a birthday, or he did, when he was alive. Also, Walter Johnson, famous Major League pitcher, was born on this date in 1887, died at the age of 59, and in 1946, he was nicknamed the Big Train, greatest right-handed pitcher of all time. He had the most shutouts in history, 110. That's 110 complete games, something you don't see much of anymore in the major leagues. He was second all time in wins with 417. He was one of the first 5 inductees to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1936. Walter Johnson, born on this date in 1887. Also, famous musician, member of the Eagles, Glenn Frey, was born on this date in 1948. He died just last year at the age of 67. One of the founding members of the Eagles band. Had 24 top 40 hits between the Eagles and his solo recordings. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He was inducted back in 1998. Glenn Frey, born on this date in 1948. And finally, we round out our birthdays today with a famous person named Pat Tillman. 1976, he was born, American football player, played for the Arizona Cardinal, soldier, but he died in combat, 2004, at the age of 27, after 4 years of playing in the NFL at a salary of $512,000 a season. He turned down a contract offer of $3.6 million to enlist in the Army in May of 2002, just after 9/11. He was killed by friendly fire in Afghanistan on April 22nd of 2004, posthumously awarded the Silver Star and Purple Heart. Pat Tillman, 1976, born, died in 2004. That rounds out your birthdays for today. We have a lot more coming up. Running a little behind this morning, 35 after the hour. Special guest coming up next is Molly Hansen with the U.S. Forest Service. We're going to talk about wildfire burn area emergency relief. We're going to be talking about what the Forest Service is doing right now as a part of the process of helping these burned lands recover and rehabilitate, and what things that we should be aware of too, especially with the rainy season coming up with all of these burn scars around the area. So that's coming up. We have Mike McNaughty, and everybody's entitled to Mike McNaughty's opinion. That's coming up next as Wake Up Wenatchee Valley continues for a Monday.
This is the NCW Life Community Calendar. Come on down to Wenatchee High School as they perform the Disney classic, The Little Mermaid. The musical runs November 9 to 11 and 16 to 18 at 7:30 p.m. and November 11 and 18 at 2 p.m. Tickets are $18 and only $15 for students. For more information and other community events, visit ncwlife.com.
I've been watching Price is Right since I was a little kid.
Price is Right, and I'm like freaking out. It's crazy. We're gonna win big!
Now, here it comes. On stage and in person, The Price is Right. Live. All the games, prizes, and excitement. And now, more winners than ever before. You could even win from your seat. Don't miss your chance to come on down at The Price is Right live stage show.
November 30th, Town Toyota Center. Reserve seats on sale now at towntoyotacenter.com.
The Wenatchee Valley Senior Activity Center presents their 2017 Holiday Craft Fair. Mark this date on your calendar and be sure to bring a friend. It's Saturday, November 11th. And you're going to want to make a day of it as you shop the many booths from traditional to contemporary handcrafted items for your holiday gift giving. Enjoy a snack and enter to win prizes at the raffle tables. Get a jump start on your holiday gift giving by shopping the Wenatchee Valley Senior Activity Center's annual Holiday Gift Fair, Saturday, November 11th from 9 to 3.
Family means something in these parts. Family owned and operated means even more. At Rose Tractor, you're buying more than a product. You're buying years of knowledge through multiple generations. It means you can count on Rose for quality products, quality repairs, and folks who stand behind the products they sell. From your job site to your home, to rentals and repairs, to new outdoor power equipment, Rose Tractor is growing with you throughout the years. Rose Tractor, quality brands you can trust year after year.
Hi, this is Carl.
And Kathy from East Wenatchee Grocery Outlet. We are excited to be a part of this wonderful community and look forward to meeting you at East Wenatchee Grocery Outlet.
Our store is filled with name brand products at bargain prices at 40 to 60% savings. We have a large selection of natural, organic, and specialty foods.
Stop by and meet Carl, the wine guy, on Wednesday.
East Wenatchee Grocery Outlet, where you can win what you saved. Stop by soon.
At D.A. Davidson in Wenatchee, we provide financial services for independent-minded clients working to secure their future. Whether it's helping to construct your personal financial, retirement, or estate plan, we start with a disciplined approach and straightforward advice. Our look-you-in-the-eye attentiveness that our clients demand and get is rooted in values that are as human as a handshake. D.A. Davidson's straightforward approach is the way we've done it for 80 years.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog McNaughty, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. I was a former police officer. People sometimes ask me about owning a handgun. Well, you know, I'm a Second Amendment guy who believes the Bill of Rights specifically gives us Americans the right to own firearms. But I tell people that unless you're willing to take the time to not only learn about the firearm safety, but also take proper firearm safety lessons, and then arrange for proper lock storage security for your guns in your home, you shouldn't even consider owning a firearm. Well, I agree. The guns don't kill people any more than spoons and forks make people fat. It is irresponsible gun owners who are all too often the cause of firearms deaths. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
Hey folks, Carrie from Blueberry Hills. A chill is in the air and it's a perfect time for some old-fashioned comfort food like our amazing Eggs Benedict, chicken fried steak, French dips, soups made from scratch, or fruit pies fresh from the oven. The crowds might be gone, but we're still here for you folks, so bring an appetite and a friend to Blueberry Hills in Manson, where you pick, you sit, you eat, and you visit. Open Wednesday through Sunday from 8 to 3. wildaboutberries.com.
There's no substitute for the power of cable TV advertising. With Solion Cable TV advertising, you can reach your target audience right here in North Central Washington. We understand their viewing habits and can precisely target your customers on great cable networks like these. Call Solion Broadcasting today and let us show you how to put your business message right in front of thousands of prospects at a very affordable price. Solion Broadcasting, 509-888-2020.
Hey there, Wenatchee. I'm Sean Lee, and I'm inviting you to come down and check out what we're all about at Badger Mountain Brewing.
Great beer, good food, and an endless source of entertainment for the whole family. Our Honey Blonde beer is flying off the shelves at your local grocery store. But I tell you what, it's even better on tap. And while you're here, try our signature Badger sauce with one of our delicious meals. Whether you're in the mood for a wrap, salad, pizza, or nachos, Badger Mountain Brewing has what you're looking for.
At Local Myth Pizza, we believe in real food, freshly prepared with only premium ingredients. Our cheeses are imported from Italy. Our sauces, dressings, and even our sausages are made in-house fresh daily. Featuring Northwest craft beers and 30 Chelan Valley wines and ciders. Family fun and amazing food. Eat local, drink local, and be local at Local Myth Pizza.
Come see why Sunset Magazine says you can't beat Local Myth Pizza.
And welcome back to Wake Up Wenatchee Valley for this Monday, November 6th. Again, I'm Steve Hare, your guest host this week, sitting in for Dan Kuntz, who's on assignment, otherwise known as vacation. He's much deserved, and hopefully he's getting some good rest this week before coming back on Monday. I have a new acronym for you. It's called BAER. It's B-A-E-R, stands for Burn Area Emergency Response. It's basically a team of scientists that are going through the areas that were burned by wildfires this past summer and trying to determine the most severely impacted areas of these burns and wildfires in hopes of helping to rehabilitate those lands and also serving as a kind of a help to local jurisdictions and identifying those areas most at risk of causing problems like erosion and such. Joining me as my guest in studio today, I'm pleased to introduce you to Molly Hansen, who is with the U.S. Forest Service, and you are the BAER team leader.
That's correct.
Correct, and I really appreciate your coming in on such early hours of the morning, and want to learn more about the process and more about you too, Molly. So first of all, let's introduce you to Molly Hansen and what she brings to the table today. Molly, tell us about yourself.
Hi, good morning. I am the forest hydrologist and BAER coordinator for the Okanogan-Wenatchee National Forest. I've been here for a couple years, but worked in Region 4 in the Wasatch Cache National Forest previously.
That's Utah?
In Utah, yes. So I've been with the Forest Service since 1994. I started on the Wenatchee National Forest doing wildland firefighting for a few years, and then went to Utah for school and worked seasonally as a hydro-technician for the Wasatch Cache, and then worked my way to be a SCEP, which is a co-op program, like an apprenticeship program, to be a hydrologist position in the Forest Service. So it was back in the 2000s.
So your specialty is water issues then, as a hydrologist.
Yep, that's correct. So I've been a forest hydrologist in Utah and then here. I've worked for 2012 to 13 on this forest, and then came on as the forest hydrologist out of the supervisor's office.
Okay, so how did you get to be a part of the BAER team?
Okay, so as being the the watershed management program for the Forest Service in general. The Burned Area Emergency Response Program is part of our watershed protection and management direction as an agency. And so we have fire suppression, and then there's several stages of that process. There's active fire suppression, and then there's fire suppression repair, where we go and fix the fire lines and the dozer lines and things like that. And then the bear assessment team comes in during that phase, and we look at the burned conditions on the forest.
And that happens almost immediately after the fire's out, or actually as the fire continues to burn. I mean,
Yes,
so
yes.
fairly early on in that process.
Yeah, the bear assessment phase is triggered when, number one, you have a fire that's over 500 acres on the forest. Can be in wilderness or on other lands, on National Forest System lands. And then the bear assessment can most likely starts when it's 80% contained. This year was a little different because we had wilderness fires, and containment versus completedness was the new trigger for this year.
Well, it was kind of interesting this year, the dynamic and how it played out in terms of the types of wildfires we had. It seemed like either they were in wilderness areas or they were at lower elevation grassland fires. So is that accurate?
Yeah, that's accurate. We had 5 fires on the forest, and the Diamond Creek Fire, the Jack Creek Fire, Uno Peak. We had the Jolly Mountain Fire, and then the Norse Peak Fire. And most of them were burning in kind of really steep, rocky, rugged, pretty inaccessible, roadless or wilderness areas. So that put some limitations on the firefighting strategy, but it also kind of adds some complexities for getting the assessment done on the ground.
And speaking of assessment, we do have a map we wanted to show you of the burn landscape here in the central Washington area. As I understand, about 230,000 acres total were burned in those fires this year. And as you can see here, it's all color-coded, and maybe you can describe what we're looking at here, Molly.
Okay, so this is the Diamond Creek Fire. This was up on the Methow Valley Ranger District, and it burned in predominantly the wilderness areas in the Pasayten Wilderness. And the fire was, because it's wilderness, it's different tactics than a direct suppression approach. So in wilderness, we like to let it burn and kind of let it behave naturally. And so it did burn into Canada, and actually burned back into the United States from the north back in. So what you see on this map is colors of red, yellow, and green. The red signify the highest burn severity areas. The yellow is the moderate burn severity, and the green, kind of the brighter green color, is the low burn severity, and then the other color of green is the unburned.
Okay, but I don't know. Maybe you can tell me, how does this year compare to like maybe past years? At least in terms of the Diamond Creek Fire, it looks like you had a tremendous amount of land there that was really severely burned.
Yes, that's true. The Diamond Creek Fire, the most high burn severity areas were up in the northern Ashenola basins, up in the northern part that actually those drainages drain into Canada. And so the Lost River drainage, which drains into the Lost River area where the Methow, Lost River confluence in the Mazama area. So that drainage was pretty well burned with Diamond Creek, Lost River, several other the tributaries at the headwaters, and then the 8 Mile drainage were pretty burned. And so I got to fly the fire in September, so it was really a good way to see the large area. Was really hard to get into because it's wilderness, and getting to see it from kind of the 30,000 foot level of the different burned areas. So this is on the camera, the photo there shows an area of high burn severity. You can see the trees are still standing, they're all black. You have the branch structure still there, but all of the needles and kind of the smaller branches have been burned off. So there's no remaining canopy cover, and so that's one thing we look for. And we also look at, here's a good shot on the Uno Peak Fire in Chelan that shows the ashy surface area, and it shows the conditions of the ground cover, kind of the amount of material that's there and then the condition that it's in. This is a really good representation of what high burn severity looks like. There's really no canopy cover left and really no ground cover left to protect that soil surface.
Not only that, but I guess it burns so hot that it actually becomes impervious, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the word we like to call it is hydrophobic, and so it repels water, water repellent soils, which really, it's the ability of the soil to absorb water is gone. There's a lot of different things to it, but it just becomes, the water just runs right off. So we have direct runoff from those surfaces.
So those areas probably the most prone to real damage when the rainy season hits them.
Yes, that's correct. So what we do in our assessment is we determine a design storm. So we look at the weather, kind of the precipitation data, look at the timing and the seasonality of the storms, and kind of look for what's the storm that's really going to make these burned areas respond to a precipitation event where we're going to have flooding and erosion.
Now, does the BEAR team also work with the local jurisdictions then on maybe making some recommendations for mitigating that?
Yeah, so I'm working at the forest level at the Wenatchee Supervisor's Office, but we work, so the team, we had members of the team come from different districts on the forest, so we incorporate Chelan, Matt Valley, Cle Elum, and then Natchez Ranger districts, and then the Wenatchee River Ranger districts all had people on the team and help doing that assessment. And then we also communicate with the district rangers and then identify conditions that they know of, any issue areas, any concerns, and then we identify those out in our assessment and go get some good on-site data and take a lot of photos and take a lot of measurements of the soil conditions, the fuel conditions, ground cover, the soil structure, and then we also look at the water repellency.
Now, as I recall, in talking with the Chelan County Commissioners last year, in the aftermath of the prior year's fires, they were talking about how the Forest Service had provided them with rain gauges and this type of thing to be able to determine, when they're reaching a point of possible danger there.
Right, so the Forest Service works with other agencies. So we work with the National Weather Service, we work with the Cascadia Conservation District, in that case with the Wolverine Fire, and we also work with the Department of Ecology. And so the Forest Service works with the other agencies that have the authority. So the Weather Service has the authority to issue flood statements or flood warnings and watches. And so we work with the Weather Service, who works with the state. And they, the state has a rain gauge and a stream flow gauge gauging network across the state. So we're able to coordinate with those two agencies to find alert stations, is what they're called. And then we're able to put those out in strategic locations to better monitor coming storms. And so really it's not the Forest Service doing, we're able to fund through our processes kind of that support of getting those alert stations on the ground and cover that NEPA kind of clearance analysis. And then we work with the Weather Service and maybe the county, Chelan County has put some rain gauges out, or with the state as well.
But it's multi-jurisdictional.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a big group effort.
Yeah, definitely. Are there any areas that you've assessed so far that maybe has the potential for causing some problems this winter? Jolly Mountain Fire, I know, is one in Kittitas County that burned for a long time. It burned rather hot in some areas too.
Yes, it did. The Jolly Mountain Fire on the Forest Service lands, because it is the Teanaway Community Forest, there are kind of a DNR and a Forest Service watershed that's managed. And the biggest polygons, the biggest areas of the red and yellow on the map were more on off the forest system lands, so almost downslope or downstream in the Middle Fork and the West Fork Teanaway. The North Fork didn't seem to burn quite as hot as the rest. But the good thing about the Jolly Mountain Fire is the map, when you look at it, is mostly green and yellow, and it's not as red as everyone thought it was going to be. And so there are areas of concerns where we have kind of not debris flows, but more of kind of flash floods kind of on that Cle Elum Lake side, and then the Middle Fork of the Teanaway. We'll be watching for that. So, but the Uno Peak fire is the one I think with the highest flood potential.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's been deceptively dry this fall, especially evidenced by that fire we had last week up by Monitor that burned across about 1,100 acres, as I understand, just from a spark off the highway. So very deceptive out there when you look at the landscape. Yeah. Not now, of course, with the snow and apparently getting some moisture, but last week it was really kind of tenuous there for a while.
Yes, we were finding those conditions out on the ground. When the team went out to they did field validation of all of the points on the map. Or we find let me back up a bit. So we get a burned area reflectance classification map. It's a satellite image, and then we go out on the ground and actually field verify that map. And so we went out and collected points across all the 4 fires, and what we found everywhere was that the soils were really hydrophobic. If you were in moderate burn severity or high burn severity, they were both 100% hydrophobic. And I think that droughty soil, because we had so little rain or no rain between June and basically now, we were seeing that as an underlying characteristic to the burn conditions.
Now, prior to going on the air, you were telling me this was kind of timely that you were on today because you are going through the process of seeking federal funding at this point. So tell us about that.
This is really great timing. The forest has pulled together our burned area emergency response reports. They're called 2500-8s. That's the form we fill out. And it's a request for funding. And we pulled this together with descriptions of all of the kind of the burn characteristics, the expected flooding potential, erosion potential, and then we identify all the values at risk. And then we also identify treatments that we're requesting money for to mitigate those risks. And so we submitted those to our regional office in Portland, and we're waiting for approval for those. So once they're out, we're going to be posting them on the INSA website and also the Chelan, or Central Washington Fire Recovery website.
One final piece of information, of course, we've been watching very closely the activities in Congress right now, where there's some legislation that's making its way through the process that would provide more help to the Forest Service in managing forests and making them more resilient to catastrophic wildfires. Certainly that would help your process in the aftermath of wildfires, wouldn't it?
Well, yes. Basically, the BEAR process identifies changes or burn severity. And so the highest burn severity is where you have the largest fuel loading and you have the highest potential for high intensity heat and then impacts to the soil surface. So in essence, where there's less fuel, there should be less burn severity. So yeah, ultimately it translates, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, Molly, I appreciate your time. Is there anything you'd like to leave our viewers with in terms of the work that you do and this whole process that we call BEAR?
Okay, well, I'd like to say a couple things. We do have some great resources for public information on the InsaWeb website. It's called Okanagan Wenatchee BEAR 2017 is the link for that incident. And then we also have our Central Washington firerecovery.info website, which also has really in-depth explanations of kind of what's BEAR, what's the process, what are the limitations, what can we do, what don't we do. And then it also has really great links to the NRCS, which has the Emergency Watershed Protection Program, which helps private landowners downstream of fires, gives them some resources, and it also talks about flood resources, and so links to flood insurance and things like that.
Molly, we're out of time.
All right.
Unfortunately, thank you for providing us with some much needed information on the BEAR process. I'm Steve Hare. Again, we'll be back tomorrow morning with more on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. For now, we'll say goodbye. Thanks for joining us.